Okay, hey everybody, welcome to this evening's stream. This evening we're continuing our game creation series, so we're taking all of our starter games and showing you the sort of games that you can create from those quite quickly. Today we're going to be looking at the adventure starter game, so this is going to be obviously going into like this sort of RPG style of gameplay, so having sort of resource gathering, shops, all that sort of stuff. I'm joined by the usual group, so if you guys want to say hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hiya.
Cool. Okay, so here they are. So just a couple of things to sort of mention to start with. As some of you may or may not have seen, we yesterday announced our comic series, which we're really excited. It's a really super cool project that we've been working on. So if you do want to catch up with that, then if one of the mods are available, if they could just throw the blog post link into chat, that'd be great. You'll also notice over on the side of the stream we've got some new we've got a new social link. So we launched our Instagram account yesterday as well, so if you want to head over there and give us a follow, that would be great. So that's just instagram.com/CraytaGame. And we'll be posting all sorts of things there, comic related, concept art, game images and that sort of stuff. So if you want to learn about everything Crayta, then do make sure you go and follow us over there to find out more from that. Okay, I think that was everything housekeeping wise. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to jump in and create our starter game. So as always, we're going to create this completely from the starter game itself. So here we have our adventure, and we see here that the adventure comes with the description of make an adventure game with an inventory and shops and resources that can be collected, bought and sold. So this is where we're going to base our game from. I'm going to just call this Adventureland to start with, which is a pretty lame name. So if anyone in chat does have any suggestions for a good adventure game throughout the stream, then do let me know. I'm going to pick this nice scarecrow in the sunflowers there to start with. Okay, and as always, if anyone in chat watching has any questions, then do make sure you ask them. We've got mods on hand ready to answer those things, and I'll do my best to answer the ones that I can kind of see as and when they come up. If you also have any questions that don't get answered on the stream, then do make sure you head over to our Discord, which again, the link's in the bottom, or our Twitter. We do our best to be active on all those places to answer whatever questions we can. So let's get you guys in here. So Adventureland. So Adam, Maggie and Sean. Okay, so these three guys I'm going to invite in, and they should be able to jump in with us in a sec. While you're watching the stream, if you have any suggestions for us, anything you'd like to see us try and build and add to this game sort of live now, we'll do our best. Obviously not everything will make it through and not everything will be possible, but we'll do our best to try and throw things in as and where we can. So okay, so I think the first thing we'll do, as usual, is we'll just go into preview mode and just show you guys what you get out of the sort of starter game. So this is what's come with this basic version. So we've got our classic sort of action camera. I'm actually going to do this on one of the Stadia controllers. So we get to look around, usual controls, pick up resources. So I'm going to pick up this apple. You'll see, we should see in the bottom corner, if I just hide these links. So we've got our currency. So that's an extra part of the default inventory system, is we can introduce currency to the players. I'm going to go on my shop. Now at this point, still using the controller, I get a kind of virtual cursor to use. So let's go to the sell page. I can see my Apple resource here. So resource is what we call it. It's like a generic template. And then from this point, you guys can go in and change this to whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to sell that apple I picked up, and I have 200 coins. Okay, so there's the kind of very core basic game loop. So about collecting things and selling them and buying more from the store. So let's go back to the editor. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to kind of turn this into like a bit of a kind of a classic adventure RPG game being able to sort of harvest trees and explore the land. And we're also going to introduce the idea of a second world. So we've mentioned this a few times in previous streams, but we'll have a second world that the players can actually transition to. So we'll get to that a little bit later on. If you guys want to just start running around doing your building that you've got planned, that'd be great.
Sure thing.
What is worth mentioning at this point as well is how this style of game, so a lot of the games we've done before have been sort of your round-based games, so things like you capture the flag, the survival battle royale stream we did, all of those things kind of follow a round-based logic. This game doesn't actually have that sort of round-based backbone architecture to it. This game is more, starter game is kind of a drop-in, drop-out style. So you can come in here, you could play this kind of on your own, play at your own pace, drop out when you're ready. All the sort of the shop and the inventory is by default saved to the user. And that means also these sorts of games are technically playable single player. You'd be able to come into one of these games and play by yourself. And then there'll be up to at least up to 4 people per game. But you could come in, play by yourself for a little while, and drop out. So it's a nice way to kind of introduce mechanics, that you could have of a single player do. Cool. So what I'll do first is I'll just get the ground done. So for now, I'm going to use all of this on the controller. So again, our basic mode is available to players using a controller, so you could do all of this stuff that you see right now from the comfort of your sofa or your couch, playing on a Chromecast on your big screen. Stamp that grass down, so stamp that. Obviously Adam's got his new dialogue stuff in, so we'll go into this a little bit more detail later, but this is quite an interesting really quite neat thing that Adam's been working on. Actually, Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about your sort of dialogue stuff you've done?
Sure. So this, is a package I made earlier that we've just imported in now. But essentially, it's a package that comes with a dialogue tree system. So it's quite good for adventure games and things like this. And it essentially allows players to walk up and interact with something, and then they'll see this like in-world piece of UI which will display dialogue. So it'll display a message to the user and then give them several response options. There's options to trigger different events from the responses, or to close the dialogue, or to go to another question, like another message. So we're just going to set this up in a really basic way to like be a helper thing, so players can walk up to it and ask it a couple of questions like, how do I collect resources? And it will just give them quick answers. But it's quite a powerful, flexible dialogue system.
Cool. Yeah, so that's an interesting way of, as you say, being able to introduce quests and things like that, or, give players like guide them through kind of the game you've crafted, especially for, an adventure game where you might need to sort of explain certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so Sean and Maggie, what have you got planned for this world we're working in?
I'm gonna expand the world and make it a bit bigger as a base start, and then because we're using the orbit camera, which is like a MMO style camera, I'll build some thick boundary walls to sort of stop the player from going off without looking like you're looking into the void. Let's make it nice boundary rules.
Cool. And what about you, Maggie? Have you got
I'm gonna be looking at an enchanted forest, so I'm going through the trees. Like there's lots of choices in the meshes, so I'm going through that at the moment.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there are quite a few nice spooky trees that you could do as well. They kind of look really cool at night. They're certainly ones to look out for. Okay. So one thing I did do leading up to this stream is just created a few things that I've added to sort of an adventure elements package. So as I said before, the packages allow us to basically bring in templates and various assets from other games that we've created. So anything I've installing here is just things that you've seen perhaps create before, or using techniques we've used before. So rather than sort of going through all those things again on stream, I thought it'd be easy enough to just pack those things in, and we'll kind of focus on some newer things perhaps in this stream. So now I've got my adventure elements downloaded. Let's go and have a quick look at what that came with. So this has given us things like a new sort of apple tree template. So you can see this has got some locators that come with it. And there's some scripts and things attached to this that allow us to actually use an axe and actually mine this tree. So we'll show you some of those later. If any of you guys want to place any of these trees around, then feel free to. So that's just apple tree. And there's also a chest template, which again is just our kind of classic chest. So that should come with some things to add. Yeah, so if you just place those around, and then we can kind of set up the loop for those a little bit later on. Okay, so set those up. So as Sean mentioned, we're going to use a slightly different camera. So rather than using that sort of the action camera that we've used before, I'm going to update our player template. So if I just go to the template, I see all these options over here. So this allows us to change things about the player. And again, without doing any coding, we can just use the properties that are exposed to us. So in this case, I want to switch to the orbit cam. I'm going to turn collision off on the camera. So when the camera pushes up against something, it doesn't zoom back into the players. And what we'll do instead is we'll try and be a bit careful about the way we make the game and stop the camera from clipping inside of things. Camera distance, so that's obviously how far away from the player the camera is. Okay, and then our pitch and our yaw will allow us to position the camera in those two axes. If I go for -45 pitch, that kind of puts it up above the player slightly. And then a yaw of 45. And then here we have this option to lock the orbit. So, lock the angle. So we'd either have an MMO style orbit camera where you can kind of pan the camera around, or in this case, if you lock it, you actually then end up with a fixed camera. And that's what we're going to go for now. So it kind of gives us that almost like a Diablo or Torchlight or any of those sort of action RPG type perspectives. Okay, and the other thing we want to do here is just jump to the user and turn off this option here, which shows the crosshair, because we're not using the action camera anymore. We don't really need that crosshair in the middle of the screen, so remove that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work on this sort of central area here, which is what we're going to call our base camp. So this is where players will return to, and they'll sell anything they found or buy new items to work with. Okay, so first thing I want to do actually is this shop template. So this is one of the shop that came with what we're doing here with this starter game. And if I just change this vending machine to go for a lemonade stand, so it kind of looks a little bit more traditional RPG, like a market stall, that sort of thing. Okay, and then next we've got some things that came with it that I'm actually going to remove here. So the way the shop works is it has this master sort of shop page script attached to it, and then we have a script attached for each item that we want to be able to buy. So as before we saw, we could buy apples from the store, and that's what these resources are here. So I'm just going to remove these two and sort of reset our shop back to 0. Okay. So classic base camp element. I'm going to go for obviously Sean moving his big wall around. Okay, so I'm going to go for a base, sort of a nice campfire in the middle. If anyone in chat has any suggestions for classic adventure RPG sort of home base camp things, then feel free to shout them out and we'll see what we can do.
Where is Sean's wall going?
Where is Sean's wall
Every
going?
single time I build boundary walls, I always accidentally build on the terrain. So I'm like, I've left up here and it's out of the way. It's like working on a car on a joist.
Gotcha.
That or we're going to be in sky.
That'd be cool.
That would be quite cool.
Let's just define a bit of a clear area around here. Okay, cool. So we've got this campfire, so let's rename that to base campfire. Okay, and we're just going to add a couple of things to this. So we've done this before, but it just shows how quick and easy it is to sort of make things look quite cool. So I want to add a large fire to this. We'll see this big fire effect happen. I'm just going to change the world settings to go for a slightly earlier morning. Get to see that a bit nicer. Okay, and then the next thing I want to add is a couple of lights. So the reason we add a couple of lights is just to give a nice like kind of offset color effect. So if you have one light a bit lighter, like a kind of a yellowy color, and then another light offset from that is like a darker orange, you get this really nice kind of almost realistic fire looking effect. So we'll set this one. We'll bring the attenuation in a bit. So let's say 700, up the intensity, drop the exponent. So all these things again are just properties that are available to me without any code. And we'll make this kind of a yellow sort of color, so we can see that that's kind of highlighting all this area with this yellow. And if I now I just want to add one script to this, and I'll explain what the script does a little bit later, but I've added this script called world light script, and this is just going to allow me through code in the next step to start working with this as a kind of entity from scripts that I can start to adjust. I see someone's here adding some logs around. That looks pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Dress it more like a campfire.
Okay. So let's just copy and paste this light, and we'll move it sort of to the side and a bit more above, and then we'll change this one to be kind of a darker red sort of color. Now we see we get this effect where we get kind of a yellow color to this side and a bit more red on that side. It just kind of plays up the way that fire looks a bit more real. I also want to add that world light script, this fire. Okay, there's our nice little campfire scene coming together. Check that out in basic mode. That's looking pretty good. Okay, let's have a quick flick through. Can you create traps and an ability to disable them if you see it? That might be quite an interesting thing to think about adding to the cave. So the cave is going to act as a sort of like a PvP zone, but we could add some traps potentially if we get time. But you absolutely could. We have some. We actually have some kind of meshes available already that would act like traps. So I think we have things like a platform of like spiky logs that you could drop from the ceiling on players, or we have these spikes that could sort of come out of the wall or the ground. And then, yeah, you could add some sort of basic Lua script around being able to basically disable that trap. You could add it as a skill check. You could add it as just if you see it and interact with it, it's disabled. It could be random chance. There's all sorts of different ways you could do it, and all those things are available to you sort of through the power of the Lua scripting. Okay, so that's starting to look pretty nice. So what we want to do, and one thing, this time of day object. So again, this is another object that came with the starter game. And if I just look at this time of day script, we see it's got some properties here. What this is doing is this is using the server's or this UTC time here, and actually with the way the game comes as it starts, depending on what time of day it kind of is for you, that's the time of day it will be in game, which is an interesting way of doing it. So what we're going to do is actually kind of take that logic and turn it into an in-game kind of a much faster day-night cycle. So to do that, all I'd need to do is come to our world settings, and we can see here that I can set the day length. So if I set this to, let's say, 10 seconds, we'll see a pretty quick 10-second day-night cycle, and the sun should come whipping up through the sky straight back down. And what that does is that gives us a really nice idea in editor. So again, not having to bake any lights, not having to spend time compiling the game, we kind of in real time, collaboratively all see how these effects happen, which is a really, really neat feature. And we get to really, really start to see how this fire looks in this area. A couple of other things we want to change. I'm just going to change this to a 2-minute day-night cycle. And then I'm going to probably leave that as that for now, actually. But what I will do is just hit this editor time of day preset override option. And what that will do is just mean that while we're in the editor, it's going to stop simulating that, just so we keep sort of a nice environment to work in. It doesn't keep getting dark every 2 minutes. Okay, so just a couple of things to change on this script here. So again, for anyone who hasn't seen the code editor before, in Crayta, the code editor comes built in, so we don't have to go away into separate editors. And actually what that does is it allows us to work collaboratively, so we'll show a little bit of that later on. But we can do all these things built into the game, and it's just a really nice way to work. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to add a couple of new events here. So on day start, and we'll call that an event. And on evening start of type event as well. So there's 2 events that I've created, and we'll see those 2 things appear down here in our properties. So that's how we, an advanced player who's kind of coding and scripting and building up these little kind of components of logic, these script assets, can expose things to basic users or game designers or anyone who takes their script. They can expose things to the front end and allow them to start making changes without having to go in and learn about their code. So we'll just call those here. So self.properties on day start send. So we'll send that event when this logic that came with the game determines that it's daytime, and we'll do the same in the opposite direction. So self.properties on evening start when it determines the evening started. And we've got some other properties that came with the script, so when we can say kind of what hour, what minute, what second of the day the evening starts and what time morning starts. So if you wanted your days to be longer or days to be shorter in your game, you can totally change all those things. And then you can say how often to sort of check whether the day is changed. So instead of every minute, I'm going to change this to kind of much quicker. So we'll check every couple of seconds, we'll check. Okay, and the last thing I want to do is just before we start this loop, I'm just going to take this bit of logic here. I'm just going to put that and chuck it above. So we do it once. And then we'll start our loop. So there's other ways you can go around that, but that's just a nice, quick, easy way of sorting that out. Okay, so that's that sorted. So what we should see now is this time of day fire these events when the day starts or the evening starts. So what I want to do is update all of those world light scripts that I mentioned before. So the fire and the 2 lights on the campfire have this script. So what I can do is I can drag from the library and say, okay, for every instance of the world light script in the world, when the day starts, let's turn the lights off. And then straightforward in the opposite direction. So for every instance of world light script in the world, when the evening starts, we turn the light on. That way, what we're going to do is have it so when the evening starts, our campfire will turn on, and then when the day comes around, the campfire will turn off. Okay. So let's have a quick look through some things here. So how hard is it to access parts of one script from another script, i.e. traps that checks the time of day script? Are variables and functions just available, or do you have to need using a statement? So there's several different ways that you can access scripts. If you've got a reference to an entity in your script, whether that's through kind of assigning it as a property or searching the world for a specific script asset, there's various different ways you can do it. And then once you have that script or that entity, you can directly access the script and call functions on it. Or for example, you might have an entity and we have API calls, which would, I don't know if there's any examples in this one, but you could say on this entity, send a message to all of the scripts on that entity, and any script on that entity that matches that message will catch it and fire it. So there's several different ways that you can kind of pass messages to and from different things. And again, that's kind of really up to the creator how they want to sort of construct their own games. Okay, so last thing we want to do on our time of day is disable this use UTC time, because again, we're going to use the sort of built-in game day-night cycle. Okay, how are you guys getting on? Wow, that looked cool. That was like some sort of mothership flying overhead. A big natural mothership. That looked really cool.
There you go.
Okay. Might notice that our dragon has made a return from the previous stream. I think that was...
Oh, good, he
the
came,
dragon.
did he?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm really glad.
he's here. So Raph the Dragon's sitting here. I don't know if Raph's in chat, but yeah, Raph the Dragon's sitting here in base camp.
I saw a mention of it, so I brought
That's
it in, but I'm
excellent.
not sure if that was from Raf or someone
didn't-
else.
I didn't realize you templated it or packaged it. That's good.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
before. I just went and did it like now.
Oh, special for Graph.
Okay, so let's add a shop buy item script. So as I said before, the shop is kind of the things you can buy are constructed from anything of this script. So the more of this script we add, the more items that will be purchasable. So item template, what do we want players to be able to buy? So we need them to be able to buy an axe so they can start to cut down trees. The currency is also a template. So we have a currency template, which is the thing we store against the player to work out how much of that thing they have. So that exists kind of as an entity that we can, or as an asset template that we can use to sort of save against the user. And the buy price. So we'll set this to 100 for now, because the players start with 100 coins. So we'll make sure they can buy one off the bat, and then we can start to balance it a little bit more later. So now that we can buy an axe, let's make sure we can use it. So if anyone who watched our Capturing the Clouds, I think we called it, so our CTF stream, and if there are any streams that you have missed, then do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and go and check those out. They're all archived and available there for you to watch. So there's all sorts of tips and tricks and techniques that you'll learn by kind of going back and watching those. But we're going to take that same logic that we wrote in that stream, so the trigger melee script. So again, I can just go to my community tab and download that. Okay, and to get that to work, I need to go back to my player template. And I go to my templates, search for melee. So I get these couple of things that have appeared, these couple of templates. First, I'll drag a trigger onto the player. And then I'm going to grab and drag this melee logic. So this melee logic comes with a script. We need to assign a couple of things here. So our trigger needs to get dropped into there. And this new one is the Hittable Script. Okay, so this Hittable Script is a new concept I've written since that stream, but the idea is that we're going to use it in this game to determine what is hittable in some cases. So, for example, the trees. Okay, I'm just going to remove these two because they're actually not the ones we're looking for. And let's just paint this area up a little bit, make it look a bit nicer. How are you guys getting on? It's gone all nice and quiet. I assume you're all busy. Oh wow, that forest is looking really cool behind me. We're going to explore that.
That's why they're quiet.
Yes, yeah.
We are in focus mode.
I'll go and explore that in a moment.
See, they focused on stuff. I just imported a meat dragon. You know.
All contributions are welcome. Arguably, Raptor Dragon's a more important part of this game.
Arguably, his eyes glow at night.
Oh, see, he provides a welcome service.
If you need to get back to the base camp, just follow the glow of the meat dragon's eyes. As in many games.
It's a staple for RPGs.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Cool. So let's have a quick run around. So, wow, this forest is proper adventure stuff now. This is looking really nice. Even got the mushrooms. I hadn't even thought about putting mushrooms in.
That'll be a fairy ring.
Yeah. Oh, that looks cool.
I didn't realize we had mushrooms. That's
Yeah, I
cool.
got the big cooking mushrooms from the cooking game
Oh yes.
that we use. So
Clever.
nice. This is looking cool. Okay, what we can do actually, we could have a quick preview if you guys are in a place that we could stop. We can have a little look at where we're up to so far. So things like the camera changing, the shop working. In fact, just before we do that, let's go and get some of our apple trees. And we'll just place a couple around here.
Are these the wobbly trees?
These are the wobbly trees, yeah. So,
Yay.
okay.
Oh, the wobbly trees.
The wobbly trees make a return from years gone by. Okay, I'm going to hit preview now, guys.
All right.
So hit F5, and at any point we can jump into the sort of play version of the game and have a look at what's going on. So we see at this point our camera is now different. It's kind of more recognizable as a sort of an action RPG adventure kind of camera. The mouse isn't doing anything to look around, so it's purely here. Oh, I've stepped into Adam's dialogue here. So how do I use this? Is it a sort of space to toggle, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Click, yeah. So how do I gather resources? And if I click, you can collect apples and gems from around the world. If you purchase an axe, you can chop down trees and collect wood. Awesome, thanks. Close that. Okay, so that's just an example of how you could use that dialogue. And again, I'll just do that. So we see kind of cuts to this nice camera and we get an idea of using a bit of in-world UI. So all of the UI again is written in Crayta, so we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And it's not just an example of how you can make. So we can't just make screen space UI. So things like the health bar and the inventory. If I just hide myself, you could see that we've got quite a nice health bar sitting right behind me. There we go. So we get to see like a health bar, and we get all those other things. And you'll also notice that we've gone into our night cycle. So, and we should see now that our fire's turned on. It's got a nice happy campfire. Okay, go to my shop. Oh, we've got a sword. Oh, you need to update the icon asset for the sword, Adam.
Oh yes, I forgot that.
That's okay. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to just bought an axe. So again, without any coding around the shop, just using assets that I've kind of pre-built, but you know that those things are available for any players. I've now got an axe, which is equipable.
Nice.
We should start to see the sun come up.
It.
Oh, and our fire's gone out.
Oh,
So
the fire's gone out. That's excellent.
that's daytime now. Let's go mine some trees.
I don't think I've actually seen this camera before. This is really good.
It is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like Diablo, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've turned my axe into my tree into logs. So I've now got this log. I'll take that back and sell it. So the logs have similar to how the shop has the buy script. Anything you want to be sellable, you just simply drop a sell inventory sort of sell script, and the shop will search your inventory and find anything that can be sold. So let's sell these things. Okay, and let's just go chop down another one. So I've got this nice wobbly effect that Adam's added. So when we hit the tree, there's a big wobble. It takes damage, and then that turns into our logs. Okay, so quite easily we've got this sort of resource gathering sort of mechanic built in. And gone dark again on our 2-minute cycle, and the campfire is back on. So okay, so that all seems to work. That's quite a nice little mechanic. So let's press F5 and we'll head back to the editor. So hopefully that's given you guys an idea of sort of how quickly you can throw adventure games together. As I say, we're going to add a whole bunch more, but there's so many more things, you know, that we're not going to necessarily fit into this stream. So if there are any suggestions, as I say, you want to see what we can get in, then do feel free to shout those out, and we'll do our best to sort of have a peek at them, do what we can. Okay, so we've got those things. So yeah, if you guys are happy, just carry on sort of filling out the areas.
Absolutely.
I'll add some chests around. So let's do. Oh, is that a template someone's just downloaded? I see.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, let's have a look. I think it's left part of one in the middle.
Oh, I see it has.
What am I looking for? Chest. So, oops. Okay, all right, I'll leave that for you guys to try and clean up. Cool. So, and one nice way of kind of populating your world, especially this sort of thing, is using the basic mode. So you get to run around as your character, and even though this doesn't represent the sort of gameplay camera, it still gives us an idea of sort of the spacing of things and how we can kind of add things to the world. So if I just run around, I'm going to place one of these chests here. I think this, do you call it a fairy ring, Maggie? Is that what that was with the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Cool. It's got a nice gem loot chest on that area now.
Excellent.
Cool. So yeah, so you guys feel free to add any of these loot chests as you go around. Okay, and what I need to just double check is that we've got that set up. So if I go to my chest template, there we go. So I get to sort of update the master template, and then that will update all of those instances. And I think one thing we're missing here is a script for respawning that. So again, another script that came with our adventure elements is having things, the ability for them to respawn and come back. Okay, and then the loot we wanted to drop, let's go for and give us some gems, so resource gems. But again, you know, whatever game you're trying to create here, you can fully customize these things to fit whatever your gameplay style is. Okay, cool. So now that we've got those things in, let's have a look at what we want to do next. Okay, so I mentioned we're going to have multiple worlds. So what I can start doing now is working on an entrance. And as I said, this is going to be kind of a cave entrance. I'll throw that in over here somewhere. Are all of these barriers a voxel mesh, Sean?
Yeah, and they're all templated. So if you want to,
Templated. Okay, so what I might just do is create a unique copy of this side one. And then that way, so because all of these four edges were all the same voxel mesh, any changes I made to this here would have applied across all four. So I'll just make it unique copy, so then I can make changes to this without it sort of going through the rest. Okay. So first things first, let's erode this away a little bit. If one of you guys want to add some music as well, feel free. That'd be quite a nice thing to have playing around. Maybe not quite the same tempo stuff you did last time, though, Adam.
I was just going to say that.
What was
It
it?
did get a
Cheeky
little bit mad.
number, wasn't it?
Yeah, cheeky little number, but we don't necessarily need to make it increase the pitch.
we don't need any cheeky little numbers here.
Okay, so what we see here is, if anyone hasn't seen it before, is just an example of our sort of voxel terrain growing tools. So again, simple click and drag, kind of quite quickly and easily paint around sort of a nice dynamic looking voxel terrain. So another template you guys could actually start adding around the world if you wanted to is a I think I've called it standing light, and that should automatically get picked up by that time of day loop. So if you've got it and you want to see kind of areas light up at night, then feel free to add that. Or if you've got your own lights you've added, if you just add the world light script to it, it should act the same. So at night the light will come on.
Pretty good.
Getting down some onyx because I love me a bit of onyx. Just reflects so nicely.
Onyx is a great material.
It is really nice, especially when you put a light over the top of it. It just looks really cool. Okay, so there's our cave, our sort of loot cave. We can add some stuff around outside, but what I want to do next is add another template trigger. So we want to control this cave and make sure that players can only get in once they're allowed to. So for that, we're going to add a new element to the shop, which is a cave key, and we're going to add this entrance trigger. Again, this is something I've made before, but it's all made before the stream, but it's all using stuff we've seen before. So triggers and a script that's going to look for whether the player is holding a specific thing. Let's just adjust the size of this. I think 500 should cover it. Okay, so any player that enters this trigger, it's going to do a little check to see if they've got a specific template, and then whether or not it, like what will happen is once they enter it, if they don't have it, it's going to make them retreat back here. Put the webcam back on. Okay, cool. So what I want to do now is create my cave key. Now, because the cave key isn't something that players are going to necessarily hold in their hands, it's more of an item that's going to be in their inventory. We don't need to actually have a mesh assigned to it. So I'm going to use a primitive locator. Okay, so this is just a position in 3D space, but we can use it to attach scripts to and template it up just like any other entity. So we'll call this cave key. We want to add one script to this, which is the inventory item spec. Okay, this script basically determines how things appear in our inventory. So if I don't set a grip, it's not actually going to be equipped by the player. I want to give it a name, call it cave key. And in order to get its little icon appear in the shop, if we go to the mesh and search for key, so we can drag any mesh or sort of assets into this icon, and it will pull out any kind of any thumbnail associated with it, so voxels or meshes. So if I just drag this down here, we see that gets assigned. So then now anytime that appears in the hotbar or in the shop or anywhere that's set up to do so via the UI, it'll pull that forward. And again, that UI is available, or that API is available for any players to do in their own games. Okay, so now I've got this, let's template that up. So we'll call that cave key. Okay, and then we'll delete that from the instance from the world, and we'll go back to our trigger and just say, okay, if anyone doesn't have the cave key, it will return them away. So they can only get through here if they've got it. Okay, so now we need to make sure that we actually have the transition into the other world. So I'm going to use something else from the community store, or community tab, sorry, which is our world transition package. Okay, and from here, if I go to templates and go look for world portal, we'll see that this is just simply another template, another trigger. And what this does is whenever a player enters this trigger, it will send them to any worlds. So let's go to our worlds in the library, and we see we only have one here, and that one is our main world where we currently are. So if I create a new cave, we'll call this, so we now have a second world, and that's just kind of a blank empty world ready for us to go in and start working with. If I go to my drop down here, I can see that cave appears. Cave and main are my two. If I pick cave, this is going to now send us to the cave. Okay, so that's that all sorted. Adam, have you added the health stuff? I think I saw.
Yep, should have done.
I think I saw it there. I mentioned at the start of the stream how we're going to have this world is kind of like a more friendly exploration world, and then the cave is going to act as like a PvP world, so players can actually go and have a fight there. So I think we perhaps need to make some changes to the health systems to support that. I don't know how much of that you've already done, Adam, in the background.
Yeah, so I think I've made all the changes needed to the health system.
Okay.
So it'll only damage you in the PvP area, and if you die there, it should send you back to the main world.
Cool. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, we've updated a couple of things there, here and there, so kind of make that happen. Okay, so how are we looking for things? So we're getting this farm being built up. This looks really cool. Who's working on the farm? Is that you, Sean?
Of course.
Yeah, that's looking nice. Maggie, whereabouts are you? What are you currently working on?
She's too deep in
Sorry.
thought.
Oh.
Sorry, Maggie. That's
Okay. What are you working on, Adam? Are you...
So I've just been working on some area triggers. So you'll see if you fly above the world, there's big blue trigger boxes around a few things.
Okay, yeah.
And the idea is if you walk into those, it'll show a little notification to say which area you're in. So like base camp or the farm or cave entrance.
Cool. I might add a big lake at the back here, actually. I think that would be a nice
I
way
was
to...
thinking about doing that. Yeah.
Ooh, might be a nice way to fill this back space. I'm going to do that quickly. Let's just make a bit of a deeper underneath. Okay, and then using my erode, I can just start deleting some of this ground. Okay, make sure you guys are putting plenty of chests and all sorts of things. Various apple trees around. Anything else you can think of?
absolutely.
I'm going to place a few chests, I think.
Okay, so you can see here I'm just slowly eroding away at the environment.
This makes me excited for the sort of adventure games that people could create.
Yeah.
Like when we actually launch, given a lot longer than obviously an hour and a half.
Yeah, definitely. Especially how quick, you can start. Like that starter game really does give you kind of a decent starting point to work from, which is really good. Okay. That'll probably do for now. That'll be kind of a shallow lake pond type thing. Okay, so if I just go to my voxels and get the water voxel.
I think it'll work to have a chest under the water.
Yeah, so the way the chests work are just on like a collision or like a trigger enter.
Cool. I'm
So
going to put 2 down.
Yeah, go for it. If the players step in the trigger. A bit lower. Okay, drag this big old water block out. Nice. Okay, we'll make this deep enough. Okay, and then if anyone remembers from our masterclass stream, what we can do here, instead of actually applying that now, if we just move this block up into the sky, apply it, but then instantly volume select and extract it. This now gives us an extracted voxel to play around with, and then we can kind of position this as we like in there, and we'll get this nice kind of underwater effect where it still keeps it kind of the terrain coming through, hidden spooky chests there. Say what we do need with that. Just need a classic.
Is it a green skull?
How do you know?
As soon as you say a classic.
A classic
just
underwater feature.
I hope it becomes a meme in other games.
So Russ, one interesting suggestion I saw in the chat was we've got like the apple trees that drop wood.
Yeah.
But can we have a mineable rock, which I guess is a bit harder to access, but then gives you like more valuable pickups? So I'm just going to work on that at the moment.
Yeah, that should be fine. I imagine. Do you want me to set up a pickaxe for that? I could do that.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to buy the pickaxe first, and then you can access the rocks.
Yeah,
That'd be
sure.
good.
Yeah. So I'm going to take our axe template and just place one down here. So we've got this starting point that we know kind of works with the assets and things we have in the world. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the link to the template here and actually just take this instance and make it its own thing. So we'll call this pickaxe. Okay, and its friendly name, so the name it's going to appear as in the inventories pickaxe. We can't hit other players with it, and we'll keep its strength at 250. So if you set your rock Adam to like 1,000 health or something, it'll be 4 hits.
Yeah, it's on 1,000.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and again, let's just go to our meshes and look for. We do have a pickaxe, so let's put that as the icon, and then let's also change the mesh itself.
Oh, did you remember to change the icon for the sword as well?
No, I can do that. I don't mind either way.
No, I'll go and do that.
Okay.
It was my mistake.
Pickaxe. So now we have this pickaxe here, and that should all be set up ready to be used as a pickaxe. So let's template that one up.
Sword should be fixed.
Cool. Remove that instance. Now it's a template, and we'll go to our shop. And again, we just need to add another copy of the shop by item script.
So I need to change the hittable template on the rock to be the pickaxe.
The pickaxe, yes, right? That's it. Yeah, so that rock will then kind of accept a pickaxe as the thing that hits it. It's going to be bought with currency, and our buy price. Let's go for 800. That. Okay, we'll up the cost of our axe as well to let's say 300. Okay. Right, are you guys ready for a quick preview soon, you think?
Yeah.
Whoop. You guys getting a server missing?
Yeah.
Hopefully that comes back in a minute. So it's like a auto save or something might have fallen over there.
I think we upset it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, while that kind of tries to recover itself, we'll just do a little bit of housekeeping. So as always, we do make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. So we have all sorts of content like this planned. Get a real good look at how Crayta works in the run up to our launch. If you do have more questions and things that don't get answered on the stream, then please head over to our Discord. You know, we're pretty active there. We do our best to answer all the questions that we can. So you'll find the link to that at the bottom of the screen on the main view. That's just crayta.com/discord. You may or may not have seen that yesterday we launched or we announced our comic that we're working on, which is a really, really exciting and quite cool project. It's been a really neat thing to be involved in. And alongside that announcement, we launched our Instagram account. So if you head over to instagram.com/CraytaGame, follow us there, you'll get kind of a sneak peek at all sorts of concept art and stuff specific to the comic and just all sorts of things going on there. So do make sure you check us out over there as well. Looks like we're back.
Send you back, yeah.
Okay, cool. So it looks like it auto recovered itself, which is good. Okay, cool. So let's get our drones back out. I think we're about ready for a quick preview anyway, if you guys are happy.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah, were you done with your axe?
Axe? Do you mean the
axe,
rock
the
pickup?
rock, yes.
I think it might have been poking around with the rock that upset the server. So
Okay.
I'll try that again in a couple of minutes, but in a different way. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
go for a preview if you
Yeah,
want.
we'll go for a quick run around. So hit preview and we'll
It'll
see.
work at the moment, but when you break the rock, it'll just give you wood
Wood. Okay.
instead of metal or stone or something.
That's fine. Oh, it looks like it hasn't kept my move. I think it might disconnect before I finished adding my pickaxe, so never mind. We'll go and check that out in a sec. Okay, so we should see that we don't have the what's it? Oh, we see our chest working. We don't have the cave key, so see how that's going to behave. Ah, so there we are, the farm. So Adam said he mentioned, or he added some notifications that would appear. So when we run to certain areas, so here we see base camp.
Nice.
So it's a nice little way of kind of making the game, fun to explore. Spooky forest.
Oh, I just realised we've got a fixed camera, and I put some chests behind like props, so you can't see them very well.
Ah, that's okay.
Completely forgot we had a fixed camera.
Got my gems. Oh, it's getting quite dark and spooky. And here's my cave.
I'm glad my character has bright neon hair. I can see in the dark.
Yeah, it's quite dark here. I'm struggling to see what's going on.
Maybe we need like a world light script on some kind of moonlight object.
Maybe.
Could I have a go at that?
Yeah, could I get that? I'm just going to go check. I'm going to add some lights around this cave entrance because I couldn't really see what was going on then. So as I say, guys, there's a template which came with it called Standing Torch. So feel free to just drag some of those in at like key locations, and they should behave like the other things that we've got, the other lights. Okay. Cool. This is coming together quite nicely. So what I might do is just say, let's have a couple more minutes, and then we'll have a quick preview again. But what we'll do is then we'll jump into our other world and just start building the cave up quite quickly.
Yeah.
Let's add these scripts again. So add the cave key. So how much do you think the cave key should be? Say like go for like 2,000. I think you can get 2,000 quite quick.
Reckon?
The logs are quite. You get 1,000 off every tree, so it's only 2
Oh,
trees.
God.
Yeah.
The economy of this little valley is.
It works for a quick stream though.
It does work. But again, I guess that's the beauty of having all these things exposed to properties, is it's completely kind of tweakable over time. You don't necessarily have to commit to numbers at the start. You can kind of start to tweak things. And actually, what I'll do in a minute is I'll reset the inventory, so we'll start from scratch. Do I still have my pickaxe? Yeah, cool. So pickaxe again. That's going to be currency, and we'll make those 800. Okay. Cool. So before I forget, I'll open our inventory save script. So this is the script again that comes with the inventory system on the starter game, and we've got this save version number at the top. So if I simply change this, what will happen is next time the game loads, it will check the save version of the save against the save version of the script, and if they don't match, it won't load the player's data. But that's just a really quick, easy way of invalidating previous data, to just say, okay, let's clean that out and let's start again. Which, when you're in an editor, is a really nice way of kind of resetting, starting from scratch essentially. Okay, so I think that's that. So you guys happy for another preview then before we start having a look at the cave world?
I was just working on the gold pickup. I'm not sure how long that'll take, so it might be worth just previewing.
Okay, cool. I'll preview now. And then I'll give you a hand with that pickup and we'll just check.
Cool.
So you can see we've reset, we've got no inventory and we're back to 100 coins. If we go to our shop, we've got axe, sword, cave key and pickaxe. We can afford the axe, so let's grab one of those. Run off and start mining some trees. We get this nice comical wobbly effect on the trees. Okay, and I think one more should give me what I want.
It looks like I could use the axe to destroy the stone.
Okay, maybe it's still
I
looking.
might need to check that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sell my 8 logs and buy a cave key. Oh, now I'm going to head over to the cave because I know where that is. Chest. Big gems. Okay. Oh, yes, your love our,
Oh, the lights turned on.
all our
That's good.
little standing lights have all just turned on. Come all the way over here. Here we are, cave entrance. Okay, so if I run in here, oh, I've left. Yeah, one more thing to add to the user to give me a notification for that. But if I stand here, we should see area triggers trick. Okay, yeah, a couple more things to add there to get that to work. My gems. Cool. Right, you guys happy then? We'll jump back and we'll just fix those last couple of bits and then we'll get ready to jump into the cave.
Do you think the moonlight needed boosting a little bit there?
Oh, I didn't notice it, so yeah, I'd ramp that up.
Yeah, I think it was on. I'll just boost it up a bit.
Okay, let's go to my user and search my templates for a user transition timer. So this is just something that came with that world portal. So we get this UI that appears that will count down and then send that user to a given world. That should be ready to go. Right, this gold then, Adam, what are you currently looking at doing?
Whoop. Do you see where the rock is near base camp?
Yeah, and they've got this this gold and log.
Yep, so I was just using the log as a reference to set up the gold, essentially.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the trigger box should be set up correctly on it. It was just a case of setting some of the values in the pickup spawner script.
Yeah. Oh, I think there's there might be a different pickup spawner script actually to use. So let me just clear that.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So there's one that's slightly different. I might have called it the same thing usefully. Yeah, I did. Okay, it wasn't that one. The other one. So yeah, I've made a slight change, slight tweak to it that will kind of let you either say to destroy. So when you pick it up, it will destroy the pickup rather than respawn it in the world.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a couple of little changes around that.
Okay, I'll have a look at basically copying the values across.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, this world looks really nice. So again, it always amazes me when, just a smallish team, there's only 4 of us here, but we're just over an hour into the stream and we've created this pretty detailed looking world. And again, we've made the base plate start a bit bigger, but we could probably push this a little bit bigger again if we wanted to. But using the extra worlds is quite a nice way of kind of expanding the game out, into sort of various sections. Okay. Right. Anything anyone wants help with, or again, any suggestions in chat? I've done my best to kind of monitor chat at a glance, so I apologise if I'm just ignoring you every time with your suggestions, but sounds like someone's giving away great game ideas. So
Don't do that. Don't do that.
yeah.
I've got a suggestion for maybe Sean or Maggie, which is to go and add a couple more area trigger scripts to things like the lake and whatever that little building thing is.
Yeah, is that templated or?
Yeah, it's a template, but they're all. You can just copy and paste one from area triggers, which is a root object.
I'll do
Okay.
the lake.
Cool. Oh, and a task for Sean at some point might be to polish up the notification UI for when you walk into an area, so it looks a bit more medieval questy.
Ooh,
And
I like the idea. Let me
yeah,
have a look.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if we get time. I'm not sure we'll have
Yeah,
too much time for that. But
as
yeah,
a stretch goal.
as a stretch. Okay, and then I just simply call this the lake. Nice. Okay. Right, how's this stone looking?
Almost there. I'm just setting up the gold, like currency thing that you can actually sell.
Yes, yeah.
Shouldn't be too long. How much should it sell for? 500?
500, yeah, should be good. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about too much balance at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Go with that.
a pretty cool looking like farmhouse. Was that one of yours, Sean?
Yeah, I didn't know how to make it look too great, so I was like, quick, slap down a square. I'll do.
No, that's cool. A little bit of set dressing. That looks nice. In fact, these are our apple trees here, aren't they? So I could probably do with another area trigger. Or we'll call this the orchard.
Good idea.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to change my rock to use the gold pickup, gold resource.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the hittable template is axe, not pickaxe. Oops.
I guess with enough determination, it could be.
You mean you could just slowly chip away at it with the small wood axe?
Just reset the inventory again. So we'll go back to version 3. Save that.
Cool. Mining rock. Create new template. Mining rock. Does Sean and Maggie want to stamp a few mining rocks around the place?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll help you as well.
Maggie, do you want to get some?
They're in templates, was it? Cool.
I'll place some around near the cave.
Are these wobbly things from the game jam ages ago?
It's the same concept, yeah. They wobble using a couple of sine waves, but I just remade it because I don't know where that game jam stuff went. It's so old now.
Cool. Right. Well, let me know when you guys are ready then.
Hey.
We'll...
I think this is looking pretty sharp.
I think we're all good.
And we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let's go for a quick preview. Then we'll go and do our cave world quite quickly, and then we can start tying it all together. So you might notice now the axes are too expensive to buy at the start, so you need to run off and find some gems.
Oh, I thought you were going to start saying punching trees.
No,
I'm not happy about that.
no tree punching. You should be one chest, should give you more than enough coins.
Okay. That just requires finding a chest.
Let's sell.
Aha! Nice. I found the fairy ring.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. I haven't
That made me
looked at
think.
the forest yet.
That just made me think of party rings like the biscuits. It's not like that, is it?
Okay. Mine a couple of these. All right, let's sell my logs, and that'll give me enough to buy.
So the moonlight works, so it's a bit easier to see now.
Good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, we could do things like we could have a player like have a torch or a light around them and that sort of thing. So again, there's always plenty of options.
Right, does the pickaxe work?
Okay, traveling to world. Okay, so what we should see here is, might have just got lost.
Yay, I got some gold.
But yeah, basically in the editor and in preview mode, you won't actually see a transition to world because we're working on this world now. The transition itself doesn't happen. There's a log somewhere in the console there that would have said, sending player to world. So we'll assume that was working fine. That's happy. So we'll go and create our other world in a moment. And then at the end of the stream, we'll do a quick publish and a quick play for real. And at that point, we should see the actual transition across. Okay, I'm just going to have a go at your pickaxe. I can see, yeah, you're smashing that. What's in the background? Looks cool.
Don't steal my gold.
Hey, I got one.
Get away. Oh, I thought that was you digging the first one.
Sell my gold. Nice, cool. Okay, we've got quite a fun little loop there. So I don't know if you guys have bought the key yet.
What is that?
Yep.
Oh, it's a sword with a cool
Sword.
trail.
Yeah. So, there's a trail on the sword. Did you add that trail?
I may have done.
That looks like some sort of magical fantasy sword. That's cool.
Like he's just going around whacking everyone.
Cool. Yeah. So you'll notice I'm not losing health. So again, we've added the control specific to this game, and again, it's entirely up to the creator. But we've said that this world itself won't be a PvP zone, so players can't hurt each other. It's only once you're in the next world that you'll be able to. So I'm going to buy a sword ready because you guys are all armed and dangerous. So okay, let's return back to the editor. Okay, so that's all happened, and we're kind of happy with that. The next thing, let's go to our other world. So if I go back to my library and double click cave, we get this warning of do you want to switch to editing the cave instead. Okay, we'll see this will disappear and our new world open. Now, this world is completely empty, so that we need to start from somewhere. So again, using our community tab, instead of, we could just create a new voxel terrain here and start building from scratch. But to speed things up, in true Blue Peter style, here's one I created earlier. So again, things like a voxel terrain can be packaged up. So I've downloaded this cave terrain. So now if I just right click in the blank world tree and go to create new voxel mesh and find my cave terrain, click, that should now appear in front of us as if by magic, giving us this sort of nice this environment to run around. So what I'll do is I'll add a few things to the world settings. There's a couple of things you guys could run around and do now. If you wanted to start placing some burning braziers and some chests for things for players to go and explore and find.
Wow, Russ, you made this quick.
As I said, here's one I made earlier. But again, it kind of almost seems like we're cheating, but all the things we've done here are just things we've done in previous streams. So again, instead of spending time treading old ground, if there are any things that you're interested, seeing that we've made, then do make sure you check out our archived back catalogue of streams just to get, sort of catch up with those sorts of things. So we're not going to do a day-night cycle in here. We're kind of going to go for a bit of a dark atmosphere sort of at all times anyway. So let's go. First thing I want to do is override the sun. And I think if I change the sky dome to space, we kind of get a slightly darker setting anyway. I'm going to turn off shadows and drop down this intensity. There we go.
Add a few mining rocks into this world as well, so something else to collect.
Oh yeah, sure. That sounds good. Okay, so we've got this sort of darker environment. I want to go for like a nice, almost like a fantasy cave. You get that kind of nice bluey sort of look. So we get this kind of blue reflection on here. Okay, and we can also use our color grading. So if I go for a cool color grading, we get this overall sort of dank kind of fantasy cave look. And here's Wrath the dragon again, our fire-breathing dragon hidden in the cave. Okay, and then yeah, so as I said earlier, I created some burning braziers. So if I just click and drag those into the scene, and we get an idea straight away of how those things look with their sort of shadows and such things. So yeah, starting to look really nice as an environment pretty quickly. Okay, so just a couple of things to add now to kind of make this world ready to use. So first, we want to add a spawn point. So if we don't define a spawn point, the players will just spawn kind of anywhere within the level or against sort of any kind of entity it can find. So if we actually define a locator here, and then go to our default spawn in the world tree, or in the world settings, and we can just define that this is our start point. And then I'm going to drag in another one, which is going to act as our adventure kind of config. So if I call this adventure, and to make it distinguish, we can change the color. So if I change this to be a red locator, again, I know that that one is now my entity for adding things about the world. And we have this script already, so adventure script, which came with the starter game that was already set up for us in the other world. Adventure script. And this time I'm going to check this option here, which is PvP world. So now the player health template that Adam worked on before will recognize that players can hurt each other in here. Okay, so that's those two things set up. Should be good for a quick preview in this world if you guys are ready.
Yep.
Okay. So hit play. So again, because we're using the same player templates, we get the same cameras and all that stuff already set up. Oh, I don't have my axe. I mean my sword. Obviously didn't quite save before I transitioned. Have you guys got your swords?
Yep.
Yes. Should we
Hold
come
it.
and kill you?
No. So my axe is going to be useless because that's designated as a kind of a non-lethal weapon.
Wow, the trails are a bit much here, actually.
They are a bit much.
Is this not working, the sword? Doesn't seem to do damage.
It seems to have stopped, yeah.
Okay, it'd be worth to check it as a thing that could hurt other players.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But we can go have a look
I'll
at
go
the
have a
logic.
double check.
Yeah, it can hit players.
Okay.
So we could have a look and check my logic in the health script.
Yeah, sure. So that's on the player. Player
It's a
health.
good chance to show collaborative coding, actually, because I noticed a
It
couple of people
is.
were asking about that.
Yeah, so here, did you assign the script? No, so that's the problem. But yeah, so just to show off the collaborative coding. So again, Adam's here in this script. So I'm not typing at this moment. My hands are up here, but we can see that Adam is busy typing away. So I mentioned earlier, obviously, the code editor is built into Crayta, and that's allowed us to do these really cool tricks around things like, collaborative coding and just building in our own API and having those sorts of things appear. Just a really nice way of kind of working together, teaching people. So you can have players you're trying to teach Lua to, you can use this tool in a really kind of real-time collaborative way. It works very nicely. So yeah, I think you just hadn't assigned the adventure script, so it couldn't find whether or not this was a PvP world. That should work now. Okay, let's just have a quick preview and test that. I've turned the camera collision off again, just because I think when we bump into each other, the camera will kind of push down again.
Sure, yeah. Just an experiment.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh,
I
so,
like the.
Does it work?
I'm dying.
Oh, yes.
oh, yeah, it works.
I'm dead.
Cool. Okay, so and then what will happen again is it will send the players back to the main world because that's the way we've written the logic. But because we're in preview mode, that's not actually going to happen. We just kind of get left here. But let's assume that all works nicely. So the very final thing to add to this world is the portal to get us back to the main world. So let's put the spawn over here actually. And it should just be straightforward as before. So we'll go to our world portal, drag that down, and then set the world to be the main world. So that sends us back to the main one. Okay. And quick preview again, just double check that. So the iteration speed of Crayta, it's amazing how quick you can get in and out as these changes. So we see traveling to world in 1. Okay, and then we see here that we get transition timer script sending user to world. So that kind of went through, just obviously didn't do anything because we're still in the editor. Okay, so I think we're about ready then, you guys, if to have a quick go. We'll publish this and jump in and have a proper play.
Do that.
Yeah. So if you guys want to return to the hub, and if anyone from Unit 2 who's watching feels like they want to come and have a play of our new game, then feel free to jump in, and it'll be available on the play page any moment. Just before we do that, I'm just going to change the save version one more time so we all start from scratch. Okay, so now let's go to here. Okay, so publishing a game, we're happy with where it's up to. Was there any suggestions, any thought from you guys of what we could kind of name the game? Other than Adventureland? Otherwise, we're sticking with Adventureland.
I like Adventureland.
You like Adventureland?
Crayta Adventure Land.
Wow.
Daring today, aren't we?
Yeah. I'll give chat a couple of seconds to catch up.
Yeah, okay.
Because
They've
obviously
probably
we're
got
a
better
If anyone,
suggestions.
Give
Bit
some
slow.
hate to us.
it is.
I don't know if you were playing on the keyboard, mouse, or on controller. That was quite fun on controller.
Oh yeah. So I did a
Very
little bit
clever.
of building on the controller. But yeah, mostly it was keyboard and mouse for me. But yeah, I might play on the controller now and give that a go. Cool. Right, let's stick with Adventureland for now. Game description, we'll keep that as it is. That's kind of what we're doing here. I like that picture with the scarecrow. So now it's our tags. So we want to go definitely in adventure. What else can we say from here? So it's a dungeon crawler. I guess we have got a bit of a cave to crawl through, so we could add those sorts of things into that. Definitely an exploration game and fantasy. Okay, so get those tags in there so we can kind of publish those and make the game a little bit more searchable, explorable. Hit publish, and that's going to put that game now available on our play page for players to come in and start playing. So I will go back to the hub. Okay, and we'll switch back to the controller at this point. Oh, I can see that Chris is here with us. Okay, cool. So if you're ready then, guys, let's go.
Let's have a look.
Play page, and then active games. It's already there. It's Adventureland. Cool. Here's our game. Oh, we never got any music in.
Oh no.
Oh no.
You have to.
Never mind. Never mind. We'll get some in for
You can
next
just do
time.
some music and pretend.
Yeah. Cool. So I need to go find some gems. Okay, so hopefully people watching at home, you've had a good idea of the sort of things you can make from here, the sort of adventure games you can make. I know this is kind of come together in about an hour and a half, so obviously with more time we could add a lot more mechanics. It'd be quite easy to add things like a sort of discovery log, so the areas of the map you've found. You could add an XP system, so maybe you could add validation to the store to say, players can only buy an axe once they've earned enough XP, and you get XP for doing certain things. Like all that sort of stuff is relatively straightforward to code up in the Lua side of things. And UI, you can add all sorts of different bits of UI. It really is quite flexible when it comes to that side of things. I hope that's kind of given people an idea of what we can do different, other than just kind of the round-based shooter type games. And again, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, this sort of game is actually really nice because it works with a kind of drop in, drop out mechanic. So players can jump into this as a single player, and the server will be there for you to play and run around and explore by yourself.
Who needs Baldur's Gate without this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why wait for Baldur's Gate? You just make your own.
Crayta Gate.
That's what we should have called it.
I've got my cave key. I'm legging it.
You got your cave key. I need to go get one more axe.
I'm going to go and get all the loot.
One more tree, I mean. And then actually I could do with a sword, because you guys are probably going to kill me pretty quick without one. I'm just swinging aimlessly while reading chat. I can see a few people asking about procedural, and I think Adam, you answered that. But yeah, I think that would work. To some degree, you could add definitely some randomness to the environments, which would be quite cool way of doing it.
So we need a cave key and a sword to kill Russ.
Yeah, sell all my logs.
Oh, I forgot to bring a sword.
Are you already there?
I can throw gold at you.
So did you manage to transition all right, Sean?
Yeah, I'm in and I'm looting.
Nice. Okay, I'm coming. I follow the path. Oh.
I like all the skeletons just sitting around.
Okay, so we see there the countdown, and now I'm straight in, so pretty quickly. So it's only a couple of seconds of loading there, and I'm straight into. I'm gonna find Sean.
Oh no. Now I regret my bright glowing hair.
Aha, who was that?
Oh no.
Is this you,
You're being
Sean?
hunted, Sean.
This skeleton.
Oh yeah, he will be soon.
Oh no.
Here he is.
Ah. Back to base camp.
Oh no.
Ah.
Nice.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so now it's going to send me back to that main world.
And has it?
It's loading. There we go. And we're back. Cool.
Yay.
Okay, so I think that's probably a good place to start wrapping this up. So in a relatively short time, let's say about just coming up to an hour and a half now, we've made a fairly fun adventure game, and obviously from now we could add all sorts of features to this and really start to expand the world and add any elements we want to. And over time, with the publishing system, we could start to add things and publish changes over time and really start to craft our own storytelling and adventures. And it's a really exciting format to sort of make games in on Crayta. So, okay, thanks a lot, you guys, for your help, and thanks again to all the mods. Cool. Yep. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody. It's been a really good fun stream, and as I say, I hope that's been sort of educational for people who may have seen some of our streams before and are kind of interested in the sorts of games that you can make in Crayta. So not only do we do quite good round-based action shooter type games, but we also have really the option to make any game that you'd like. And again, hopefully this stream has really started to sort of hope people realize the power of Crayta and the flexibility in the game types that we can make. Again, thank you to everybody who joined in. Thank you to the mods for all the questions, and thank you to everyone who's watched. It's really encouraging to see you guys coming here every week asking questions. We love those questions, so do keep them coming. If you didn't get anything answered on the stream and you have more questions for us, then do head over to our Discord, which is available at crayta.com/discord. We're quite active there, and we do our best to answer as many questions as we can. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. We have all sorts of content planned, and we have quite a big back catalogue now of previous streams, which will really hopefully get you up to speed with where with what Crayta's about. We launched our Instagram account yesterday, so as part of our comic book reveal, we've launched Instagram, so instagram.com/CraytaGame, so do follow us there. And with regards to the comic, if you do subscribe to us here on YouTube, then make sure you keep an eye out tomorrow, as we've got an extra bit of a special thing coming tomorrow. So do make sure you subscribe to us here and wait upon that. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next stream on Friday.